Everyone experiences challenges in life, and there are going to be times when you feel like giving up. Let me share the secrets to success through adversity. Deaf from birth and challenged in many ways, I learned to look at life differently and found success. Life will never give you cotton candy, so stop looking for it. Join my podcast and learn the secrets of success through adversity. Stop making excuses and start taking action. I'm your host, Jordan Levin. Welcome to All Good Things Start With You. Welcome today to All Good Things Start With You. I have Steven Ingber with us today. He is literally just recently became the Chief Executive Officer of Jewish Federation of Metro Detroit. That is quite an honor to be in that category, and I'm sure you worked very hard to get to that position. And what I'm very curious about is, one, is how did you get to that position? And I want to make sure I say thank you for being here. It's been an honor today to have you. How did you get to that point? I'm more curious about how you got involved with Federation.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Jordan. It's an honor to be asked. And look, how I got here is a strange ride, and we can go as depth as you want to. I was in the for-profit world all my life and never really, I had always been a donor of Federation, but I would call it a donor out of obligation. Sure, here's my here's my $180, want to be part of the community, but not really involved. And I had started as a board member of Hebrew Free Loans, and I really enjoyed it. It's a great organization. We were really making things happen. And I was working on their Danto loan program, which helps businesses started by young Jewish entrepreneurs who want to start in the area. And I had really enjoyed that. And I was working for myself, doing my own business, and it was great. The business changed, and I decided to exit, at which point in time I was, let's call it 37 or so, and decided, well, I still got a lot more years I probably to give. I'm probably too young to retire. And I saw a listing, literally a posting, just like everybody else on LinkedIn, for a chief operating officer at the Federation. And I said, I'm really good at operations. That's really what I pride myself on. That's what at that point in time, that was sort of my wheelhouse. And I said, let me make a few calls. And I called some of my friends who are involved in the Federation. They said, you absolutely do not want that job. Run away. I said, why? He said, well, you're used to working for yourself, which I had done for over a decade. He said, now you're going to be working for, 10,000 people. I said, nah, that's okay. I'm a good people person. They said, no, don't do it. Sorry, let me put my application in. And I sent my application, and I no joke interviewed for the better part of 2 or 3 months.
Sure.
This was not a very quick hire. What we learned is that I was not their ideal candidate. I had not come up through the ranks of nonprofit. I had not spent years working at the Federation. And all of a sudden I'm coming in at a sideways at what it was then their number 2 position. And there was some hesitation to, I don't want to say give it to an outsider, that's not a good term, but to give it to somebody who hadn't spent years in the non-for-profit world. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget this. It's probably my 4th interview, and they had me tested, and I met with everybody. And the brother, I said, guys, I said, I think this is a sign of this, but you are looking for a business position. A chief operating officer should be somebody who's ran a business and has business principles. We can talk all we want about the non-for-profit and the Jewish side of it, but this position is for a businessman. And I left. A day later, they called and said, we'd like to make you an offer. So for whatever reason, it worked. And I was the chief operating officer for up until literally 3 days ago. So almost 5 years. We had a CEO, Scott Kaufman, who left here about 1.5 years ago, a couple of months before COVID. And then obviously COVID came and everything came to a screeching halt. The national search came to a halt. And basically we were, trying to figure out houses on fire. What are we going to do to make sure we provide for the community? Coming out of that, over 1 year later, I was asked to throw my hat in the ring because I'd sort of been doing the CEO job for quite a bit of time. And I said, sure, at this point in time, I would really much be interested in it. And so I put my hat in the ring, interviewed, and here we are talking a couple of days after my appointment. So I'm super excited about it.
I can't imagine because it's interesting when you say when someone told you the word no that you might not be an ideal candidate, you literally flipped that switch and said, "What have I got to do to make this happen?" And that's you have such foresight in the beginning. You went right for something that basically someone said no. And I think a lot of people in business do understand that, but sometimes they don't. And it's just my personal opinion of everything that I've done through the years. It's an internal instinct that
Yeah,
drives you to do something like that. And I don't think anybody can actually teach that to you. It's just
yeah,
something that you learn. Not something that you learn, but just something you develop.
absolutely. I don't want to say it's a challenge when someone says no, you can't, or you shouldn't. It's like, okay, challenge accepted. Let me see what I can do with this. But you shouldn't listen to what other people say. And that's sort of the moral of it. In my gut, I was like, sounds like a real interesting opportunity, and let's take it. And nothing's forever. So let's see what the world brings you, and one day at a time. And look, here I am 5 years later now, gone from the number 2 position to the number 1 position. It was a very similar track. It was are you sure you want this? You're a really good operator. Are you sure you want to be, the head executive? And I said, yeah, I do. And it's those people, it's that quality, I think, that's allowed me to succeed to the point that I'm at. It's, if you want it, go get it. If you don't, that's okay.
Yep.
But if you want it, go get it. And don't listen to somebody tell you no. And it's not what happens to you in life. It's what you do with what happens to you in life. We're all dealt a cards. Some are worse than others. Some are better. We have our own ups and downs,
Mhm.
and we don't control that. My father likes to say, if it happened yesterday, it doesn't really matter because it already happened.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And
Yeah,
that's very important because what's happening right now is the current present moment.
right.
What happened in the past, you cannot change.
No,
You change going forward, absolutely.
right.
So that right there, and that goes right along with my motto. All good things start with you. And
Yep.
it's all about taking action in is how do you respond to that action, what makes people successful.
No, I think that's it's a huge thing, and it provides you with a much more positive outlook on life, not only in business but in personal life. Yes, you should learn about what happened, and maybe you made mistakes in the past, but you can't undo those mistakes, and you can't undo what was done to you. So you can only learn from them and figure out, how am I going to move forward? I find people oftentimes just keep thinking about what happened and why they were there, and coulda, woulda, shoulda, or imagine if this didn't happen. It's great, but it didn't. It did happen. So it's now, what are we going to do with it? And the people who are quicker to realize that, I think, are much more successful in life and much happier in personal life, because they don't sit and say, oh man, I really got screwed. You did. Okay. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
and now let's move forward. And I think that's the way I look at everything in life. Life's too short to keep worrying about what happened, and let's just keep going forward.
That's a great lesson, and I'm pretty sure you've instilled that in everybody that works at Federation. You have so many different avenues, so many different people, so many different organizations that you are involved in by understanding that you were able to train in the easiest way possible, train the individuals to give you the information that you're looking for, so that you
Mhm.
make the best possible decision to help everybody. What are you here for? You're here to serve the community. And you
Right.
be able to take that information and absorb it and say, okay, this is most likely going to be the best course of action.
Mhm. And I think it's up to leaders to sort of empower their staff to look at it that way and say, what is it? We are an outward facing organization. And I like to say that we have nothing to sell. We want to make people feel good. So when we ask people for money, we need to make sure that we're doing the best thing we can with that money and making the world a better place. We don't have, you don't get a widget. You may get a high five when you give to us, and you may get that good feeling. And I would encourage everybody to have that good feeling and to want to be part of the community. But it's up to us to lead that community and say, here's the needs, and here's how we're going to fix them, and here's our plan forward. Not here's how we did it 10 years ago, or here's why I had a bad experience at one event, or I was left off, or fill in the blank. It's today, how are we going to do going forward? And what are we going to do to make people feel that they're part of this community? Because that's what this is all about. It's about taking care of the needs of the people and building a community.
And I cannot imagine that you said that 3 months before the pandemic started, you basically took over basically 2 different positions. I cannot imagine how nerve-wracking that is because of all the people that are coming at you. But if I'm going to learn anything from what we've talked about, you probably don't get nervous. You just take that for what it is and you say, all right, you absorb the information and you say, so my question is, how did you guys pivot? What were some of the changes you made? Or what are some of the changes you were planning on making if you're allowed to talk about it?
Sure. I absolutely, we're very open about it. Let's go back March 13th, 2020. We had a board meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning. It ended at 9:30. I asked every agency executive in this town to stay. And I said, we're getting into something. I got no idea. I'm no better than anybody else. I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV. But we've got an issue coming up and I don't know what it is. But I want everyone to be ready and we're going to do this and we're going to do it together. And from that point, that was sort of our rallying cry. We met every single morning in the beginning of the pandemic, and then it went to twice a week, once a week, every other week. But we met with every agency, a federation agency. And in this case, I said, even if you're not a federation agency, JARC, Kadima, if the threshold to come to this morning meeting was, if you offered services to Jewish Detroit, you are welcome at this meeting. And we sit and we brainstormed and we dealt with every single morning what house was on fire, who needed money. In the beginning, it was, I have masks. Well, this person needs masks. Well, okay, let's send a truck right over there to get them over here. I don't have enough people. I want to shut this down. What are we doing for, hazard pay? Do we need to pay people more to come into work? And we did this as a community. And I think it made our community so much stronger. Detroit weathered this so much better than most other communities because we did it together. We checked all our egos at the door. I didn't say that I'm Steven Ingber, I'm leading this organization and I know what's best. I said, okay, guys, there's upwards of 10 to 20 to 30 of us, depending on what meeting we're discussing. Let's come up with the best outcome. And another phrase I like to use is best idea wins. Yep. Meaning it doesn't have to be my idea. If you got a better idea, phenomenal. And let's do it. And we've done that and we pivoted. We've given away first of all, we had to raise millions of dollars to help the community. We gave away millions of dollars. We had to raise PPE. We had to find PPE. We had to buy PPE. We had to move it. We had a tremendous food issue. I remember going back a year ago, I bought $50,000 worth of chicken for Passover because we just didn't know. And I said, oh, Passover is going to come in 3 weeks. Let's make sure we have enough food for everyone to celebrate the holiday. We today are still delivering meals to seniors who are not comfortable going out. We're giving care packages to children throughout the community on a weekly basis. And so some of this stuff will stay, some of it will go away. We've opened up the Federation building as a vaccine center for Oakland County. We have now vaccinated over 2,500 people in our building. And it's great. We are Jewish and non-Jewish. And I think I need to be careful in saying that. Every program we run is open to the community. Sure, is it predominantly Jewish? Yes, but nobody has ever turned away from any of the services we offer. And we pride ourselves on that. It's how can we, raise the harbor, raises all ships. So when Oakland County said, can you partner with JARC and do a vaccine clinic? I said, sure, why not? What do you need? And how do we get it done? And we mobilized within 24 hours. We were inoculating hundreds of people on a daily basis here. And we're still doing that. I'm super proud. So that's where we're at. I'm very proud to say that we're going to continue to do that. And one of the slogans we like to say is we're here for good, but we're built for this moment.
Yep.
And I really pride ourselves on built for this moment. What does that mean? It means we don't even know what the next moment is going to be, but we know collectively we'll be able to solve it. And that was case in point this year. 15 months ago, nobody was readying for the pandemic, so we would have what we needed, but we got through it. We figured out what we needed and we did it together. And so if you want to go far, go together. And I'm a big believer in the community runs this. It's not one person.
That's so powerful because you've done such a wonderful job of bringing the community together, but utilizing these support systems that are literally right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge. And that's one of the things that I've been learning in helping people, in serving people, is just ask a lot of questions, figure out what's the best route to get to what you want, not specifically what you want done, but what each organization wants to have done. And you're leading the way to let them know, hey, we are open to everybody, and we're not going to refuse anybody, and we are going to do our very best. And the biggest thing that I'm gathering is that you've brought people together in a such a unique way by pivoting with the pandemic. You've created even a better sense of community because, as you know, some people are like, yeah, this is great, but this isn't. And you said, okay, let's just take the best idea, let's try it. If it doesn't work, we try something else. You have to be willing to do that.
I think that's a huge quality of a good leader is A, being willing to make a decision. You know, at the end of the day, it's my call and we have to move forward and make a decision, but also say, you know, occasionally, it's rare, but every once in a while we all make mistakes and we have to, back up and say that wasn't the right one and we're going this way. And we, I think that's where good leaders really shine is when they say, let's go in this direction. We're going to go together. And if it doesn't work, well, we'll figure it out then. But we can't do, oftentimes I see this as what I like to refer to as paralysis by analysis. You know, you're overthinking. Well, what if this and what if this? You just don't know. You know, just like we can't worry about yesterday, we can worry about tomorrow. We can only do so much worrying because tomorrow's coming, whether we're ready or not. I can assure you, the sun will rise tomorrow. It always has, always will. And we need to be best ready to go and greet it tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about habits. I mean, that's the thing. It's like my question to you is, you've obviously set your own systems, your own standards for how you operate. Where did you learn that from? Did you learn that from somebody? Did you learn that from business school, which is somebody that kind of helped you understand what that really means?
So look, there are some hands-on learners and there are some classroom learners. My mother will not like hearing this. I was not a classroom learner. I went to the business school at Michigan, and I'd say 99% of my class either went to investment banking or consulting. That was the time I graduated. You either took one of the two tracks and you were granted a huge salary in a big firm on one of the coasts or Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, I'm going to stay here. And I dismantled cars, literally with a college education. I went and worked for my grandfather and I took apart cars. And I learned more doing that in watching his work ethic and learning on the job. And that's where I sort of became like, trust yourself and just, you learn on the job and don't be afraid to take a risk. If you don't take a risk, you don't grow. And that's how I grew my business. When I started my own business, I used to make deals. And, oftentimes, some people wouldn't buy a deal until they had it all pre-sold. Well, by that point in time, you may not be offered the deal and it's now or never. And so you had to be good. In my gut, did I think I could make money on that deal? And yes or no, I'd buy it. And did I have the money to pay for it? It almost didn't matter. How fast could I buy it? How fast could I sell it? How fast could I get the money back in and make everybody happy? And that's pressure. And I think learning that and being responsible, I know that in my previous life, I was responsible to make sure that all my employees got paid. And if I didn't sell enough or move enough product, we weren't getting paid. And I wasn't okay with that, having to let other people down. Now, I'm not too proud to say there were times that I didn't get paid. And there were times that I had to, bring money into the business and say, oh, look, it's been a slow week, but everyone's getting paid. I'm going to take money out of my savings. And I never missed a payroll in the 10 years I operated, and I insisted on that. But I think you have to be willing to take risks, and entrepreneurs need to take risks, calculated, don't get crazy, but you got to be able to take it. And what I find is very important is you got to have somebody in your corner. Yes. And for me, it was my father. Whether it's a financial backer or whether it's just a mentor or somebody to talk to, you need somebody who's removed who can say, hold on, is this really the right way to go? And I look, and then after a while you switch from that mentee to not meeting the mentor to being the mentor. Yep. And I think that's a big thing that people need to be able to take risks and be able to lead.
I love that. And I people say it all the time. Every coach needs a coach. Mm-hmm. We pride ourselves on being able to do everything to the best of our ability. And we get too caught up in trying to do everything ourselves. And there becomes a point in time we have to learn how to delegate.
Yes.
that's such a, could you know you are good at XYZ? If you're
Mhm.
not good at EBC, delegate it. Let them do the work, and then they will pop out to you and say, hey, this is what I think. And you are showing your trust in person EBC,
Right.
that is able. And that's where the entrepreneurship begins to transform and actually increases in that capacity, which allows you to grow as an individual, but to truly help companies excel.
Absolutely. I mean, leadership is putting the right people on the right seats on the bus. We've all worked for organizations where we thought we had the right people, and sometimes they're not on the right seats on the bus, and you get them there. And people need to be able to stretch their wings, just the same way I say I like to make my own decisions, just make them. You have to trust your employees and your team to make those decisions too, or else you're just a team of one with some other people just helping you out. Now, with that, they also have, can make a bad decision, and that's okay. And it's how do we move forward from that bad decision? But you have to empower people. One, you won't grow. You'll be just as big as, whatever you can do yourself. And two, it doesn't create a team feeling. And to me, a team feeling is so important because that's really where the magic happens, is when we're all working together moving forward.
And I agree with that. And as the CEO, you are now in that position where not only are you trusting the person that's underneath you, but in the sense of, that's the wrong way to say it, you are trying to make everybody equal in their position so that when they come talking, you are both on the same page. Once you have that, then you get that common bond, and that's just like in the results.
100%. We run the Federation as a very flat organization, meaning my door is always open, although maybe not right now, but my door is always open and everyone's allowed to come in. You don't have to report up to your supervisor to come talk to me. No, just come talk to me. I like to be 24/7 available to my team. I think that's key and paramount because when a good idea comes, we need to be able to act on it. And it doesn't, like I said earlier, doesn't matter where it comes from or who brought it. Is it a good idea? If so, let's run with it. You have to have a culture of let's share ideas, not let's keep them all to ourselves or take credit for everybody else's ideas. Let's throw everything against the whiteboard and see what works.
Absolutely. Absolutely with that. And that's a big lesson that people who are just starting out or who've been in the, in the business world for a long time and just, be positive where they are and just keep looking forward. And one of the things I've learned is to look forward, reverse engineer what your thoughts are, and then you will actually get to where you want to go. And
Right.
that right there took me a long time to understand what that really means. And now that I've gotten that, I've been able to do that with my CrossFit gym as well as my, individual speaking career that I've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
What advice would you give someone who wants to pursue a career such as yours?
Do it. Just, and I say that jokingly, but I really think it's go out there, find the job that you enjoy doing. And I don't want to use one of these old quotes, if you find a job you love doing, you'll never work a day in your life. That's great. But there is some truth to that. Find something that you enjoy and you don't hate going to. And the world will work out for you. Look, I'm a big believer in that. I am case in point. I had a great business. We changed and all of a sudden I was looking for something to do. And look, who would think later, 5 years later, I'm running a huge organization and having the time of my life. I made this statement the other day. This is the dream job I never knew I wanted. And I think that's important. Have fun. Don't worry about it. Life is coming either way and there'll be bad times. So just constantly try and focus on the good and enjoy it. But as far as, trust, don't do what people tell you they think you're going to be good at. They think, oh, you're going to be a good operator or a good speaker or a good writer or whatever. Be what you want to be within reason. I mean, we all like to play in the NFL. We're probably not all destined for that. But I think that it's important that we find something that we enjoy and try our hardest to do it. And I think that's really what makes a happy person. And I think happiness is the key. And I don't want to say just in business, but I think in life, Life sucks some days, and it's okay to admit that, but try and the one when it doesn't, put a smile on your face, enjoy it, and find meaning in what you do. I like to say, no matter how bad my day is here, I know with all the great work that we're doing that I made a difference in somebody's life somewhere, somehow today. No, it may not be directly. I didn't provide a direct service today, but I've made it easier for people who are providing direct services to provide their services. And so that's it. Be part of the change that's happening, and be a productive member of society.
I love that, and that's a very important point. And that brings me my second to last question. What did you do to recalibrate?
I trusted myself. I knew that I was a hands-on learner, and I knew I didn't want to go back to school. When I closed my business, people said, "Oh, why don't you go get an MBA? Any big six-figure salary, you're going to need to get an MBA." I said, "You know what? And nothing wrong with getting an MBA. It's just not my style." I said, "I learn on the job. So if I can get," sorry, we have a little bit of a issue, but there it is. Sorry about that. Very unprofessional, but we're always here to save money. So,
Oh, Lord.
I think it's trusting yourself. And so my feeling was, if I get the job, if I get the interview, if I get the interview first, I could get the job. And if I get the job, I knew I could figure out what to do. And I can learn on the job. And it's not over weeks or months or years. It's a couple of days. Give me a couple of days to figure out what we need to do. And that's what I've always done to be successful. Is I don't read up about it. I just go, always listen, and always observe, and watch what everyone's doing. And before you know it, you can do whatever you need to.
Absolutely. Last question is, what brings you joy? What makes you happy?
Look, I would say that my kids bring me joy. They bring me grief, but they bring me joy. I have four boys who are the love of my life, and my wife, obviously. And I just want to make them proud. And I want them to not want for anything within reason. I want them to have a happy life. And to me, that's my goal, is to make the world a better place for them and give them what they need to get what they need to in life. And that's sort of what I'm here for, is to make them happy. I don't have a hobby. I don't play golf. I don't play tennis. I exercise, and I'll do anything, but it's all about friends and family and human interactions. I think that's the key, is surround yourself with friends, surround yourself with family, and, just go and be you, do you. We have a saying here at Federation, just do Jewish. Don't let anyone tell you what being a Jew is or what you should or shouldn't do. It's the same reason I would tell you about being yourself. Just be yourself. Whether you're comfortable doing X, Y, or Z, that's fine, or A, B, C, it doesn't matter. You do what you want to do, and life is a much better place.
That's a wonderful summary at the end. And you being Jew is very hard for a lot of people to really truly understand what that means. And that's one of the I really appreciate that one. And that's a good lesson for everyone to learn. So listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for being on the podcast, and hope we can do it again sometime soon.
I will come back anytime, Jordan, because you were willing to interview me when I was just a COO, and you got the first interview as a CEO. So I will take it anytime you call, Jordan.
All right, awesome.
All right, stay well. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Please check out my website for more great content at jordanlevin.com.